Hello everyone, this is Rick Walsh. I want to welcome everybody to today's training. What we're going to go over is we're going to go over the business building system for Freedom Equity Group, and that involves three modules. That'll be the Sprint Award, the Fast Start Award, and completion of the Fast Track Award. We're going to list what the various tasks are in each of these and how the system works and why you need a system. And then we're going to go into some very specific examples of how do you help somebody achieve their goals. We're also going to go into exactly how do you present to an individual how their policy would work for them. And so we got a lot of great information, so get out a piece of paper and a pencil, get your information, and here we go. You know, the first question I'm going to start off with is basically almost a rhetorical question, and that is, what would you do if you knew exactly what you needed to do in order to win? Yeah, sounds like a silly question. Well, I would do what it takes in order to win. Well, we're going to show you the system right now that is being used by the most successful individuals in Freedom Equity Group in building an organization, and more importantly, building an organization that is productive and on a weekly basis doing a lot of target premium and volume. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about the system. It is exactly the step-by-steps that you can use to assure your success. You see, the system, it's geared towards walking the novice from exposure to the dream of prosperity with Freedom Equity Group through predictable steps that will lead to the inevitable outcome of a profitable and knowledgeable FEG Vice President. You see, the building block of success that you will build your FEG empire on is known as the Team Leader Unit. These are three new agents that have earned the Sprint Award. So we'll go into exactly how do those three new agents earn the Sprint Award. Once you have three, you have a Team Leader Unit, and it is this building block that can be easily and predictably replicated. So on the system, what you want to do is first learn. It's then taught. It's then replicated. You want to become a factory, so to speak, a team leader factory. And this will allow you to turn out the bricks in your organization. It'll build a monument to your financial future. You know, the system really is not necessarily for the personal producer. The system allows you to be duplicatable. And it's this duplicatability that allows you to be leveraged and grow. Leverage in income is the ability to slowly but ultimately separate yourself from the generation of your income. Doing something today and getting paid over and over and over again. And that only works if what you're doing can be done by others predictably and on a continuing basis. You see, all great businesses and governments and communities, they rely on a system. Here's the important part. You don't need to be talented to run a system. You only need to be disciplined and follow the steps. If I were to ask you, hey, if you could start up a restaurant down the street, what are your chances of success? And in most cases, it would not be very good. Yet, if you were to purchase a McDonald's franchise, you would be successful. Well, that's a restaurant. You'd be in the restaurant business, but you would be successful because you would be following predictable, successful steps. Here's the important part. You don't want to change the system. The system works. All you really want to do is master it. Because you see, if you run the system will run your business. The building block of your business, as we mentioned, is the Team Leader Unit. But it's not only creating that unit. It's the sense of urgency and duplicatability that you use to reach this level will be the key to your success. If you could achieve a Team Leader Unit in 1 week as opposed to 6 weeks, the following week will be much more profitable for you. And if you're able to do it by doing everything yourself, you haven't taught anyone to be duplicatable, well, then that's going to hinder your success. It is that sense of urgency and duplicatability that you use to reach this level that will be the key to your success. The start of being part of the Retire with Dignity Crusade is your own personal program, and the end product is the achievement of the VP level. So the system, it starts with the Sprint Award and continues through achieving the level of Vice President. There are three what I call modules in the system. Step 1, or the first module, is the Sprint Award. Step 2, or the second module, is the Fast Start Award. And then Step 3, or the third module, is the completion of the Fast Track to Vice President. We're going to go through each and every one of these in detail. The Sprint Award, remember, the sense of urgency at which these are completed is very, very important. And so the first 10 days, these are critical in setting the stage for your organization. You see, the speed of the pack is determined by the speed of the leader. So first we're going to list what are the 6 steps in the Sprint Award, and then we're going to go back and go through each one of them in much more detail. Step number 1, and I'm going to assume that you're starting your new agent out. So how are you getting your new agent out and helping them win the Sprint Award? Well, the first thing you need to do is help them set their goals and objectives. Next thing, you got to meet their spouse. Third, you want to complete their personal financial strategy. 4, make sure they started the licensing process if they're not already licensed. 5, you got to create the inventory for your business. No business could run without inventory. And then 3, short field presentations minimum. These could be live or over the internet. You want to do it in that order. So the first thing we talked about is you're going to become a factory, and every factory needs the right raw material to create the right end product. Our raw material revolves around attitude. You know, if the time or opportunity is not right for someone, hey, no one's good enough to close that deal. And closing that does not mean just signing somebody up. It means directing and training them through the system. Because if you have to drag someone over the starting line, you're going to have to drag them over the finish line also. But if you're willing and able to train a new recruit, but they're not willing and able to be trained, you sold yourself on a very frustrating proposition. You see, you must learn to lead those who can be led and are coachable. Those that are not coachable, they're the wrong raw materials for your factory. So how do you know if you have the right raw materials? Coachable is not stamped on our forehead. Well, that's where the first step in the Sprint Award comes in, and it's the why. Why does that new agent want to engage in the Freedom Equity Group business? Do they have written goals? Step number 1, you see, people are going to do this business for their reasons and not for yours. And so step number 1 in the Sprint Award is you got to help your new agent lay out their goals. And I'm going to recommend that you use a live demonstration of the calculator in order to see how someone can achieve their goals and how you will be able to point out to them how easy it is to do that. And you got to have timelines for your objectives. A goal of I want to be rich doesn't work. I want to make X amount of money in X amount of time or help so many people. So what I have here is a goal sheet. And by the way, these you could get any of the forms that I'm using here from Marcy. You just email M. Morales, that's Marcy Morales, mmorales at fegcorp.com. And I already filled out my goal sheet. Let's say I have an individual and I sit down with them, and it's a very simple one. All I need is a timeline and what they hope to accomplish and what they expect to contribute towards the accomplishment of that goal during that timeline. Then I'll be able to take this and put it to the calculator and find out exactly what that individual needs to do in order to achieve their goals. So I asked my client, I said, how much money would you like to be making at the end of 6 months? And I don't mean how much money you made in your first 6 months. I'm just using that as our training, getting our feet wet, etc. From 6 months on, what type of annualized income would you like to be on track to make? And let's say my individual says, well, I'd like to make $100,000 a year. Okay. By the way, whatever they give me as an answer, I'm just going to put that down. I'm not going to question it or anything, because it's not for me to question what their goals are. It's just for me to help them or show them the roadmap that'll get them to where their goals are. I say at the end of 1 year, what do you want to be on track to making on an annualized income at the end of 1 year? Let's say they say $200,000 a year. And then I say at the end of 3 years, they say, well, $400,000. At this point, I want to get a commitment from them. They have obviously a very aggressive goal here. And I'm going to say what we're going to do is we're going to be dealing in what's known as our fast track to vice president. And with our fast track to vice president, we need to make you a nice chunk of money. We need to put you in a position to achieve the goals that you've laid out here. And so we need to get going right away on what's known as the Sprint Award, the Fast Start Award, and the Fast Track Award. And I want your commitment that you'll be working with me very aggressively in the first 60 days in order to achieve that if you'd like to achieve your goals. Sound fair enough? They say, yeah. I'll have them sign it right there, that they're going to work with me to achieve that fast track to vice president. I'm then going to say, what do you believe as far as recruiting or personal sales? Let's start with personal sales. At the end of 6 months, where we're trying to accomplish your first goal, how many sales per month from that point forward, meaning that we're working together over the first 6 months, you're learning the ropes and everything to do about Index Universal Life. Hopefully you'll attend the Index Universal Life University that we have in San Jose. How many personal sales per month? And they say, well, I think I could do 1 a week or 4. Okay, I'm going to write down 4. Next, how many people do you think you could personally recruit by the end of 6 months that'll be active with us, not just signed up for free and that's the last we saw of them? And they say, well, I think by the end of 6 months I could have 6 good people. And how about by the end of 1 year? They say 12. And I say, how many personally recruited good solid individuals by the end of 3 years? They say 24. Okay, now I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and write down these figures, because I'm going to be referring to them as we go through the calendar on the next few slides here. At the end of 6 months, they want to make $100,000. 1 year, $200,000 per year. Into 3 years, $400,000 per year. They think they could do 4 sales a month. They could recruit 6 solid individuals by the end of 6 months, 12 by the end of the year, and 24 by the end of 3 years. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out my calculator. And I recommend that you use the calculator to show people exactly what they need to do in order to accomplish their goals. Now, when you take out the calculator here, I recommend that you don't just start putting numbers in, because as you're putting numbers in, let's say you're putting numbers in down here, they're up here reading, oh, what are all these columns about, and what is this meant by VP level, and what's an average annual target premium, etc. What you want to do is you want to explain the calculator in general to begin with. Then we'll start putting the numbers in. So I explained that this is the level that you'll be at, vice president, as we talked about. We'll get that done in the first 2 months. But remember, we're 6 months down the road. The average target premium is the target premium for an average case in Freedom Equity Group. Your personal sales will be at the 80% level. So we'll put in how many personal sales you'll make and how many that'll end up to be monthly, and that'll give us our monthly income out here. And then the new people that you sponsor will start at representatives. As time goes on, they'll move up to sales leader, district manager, division manager. So we'll be putting in the numbers here. And eventually you'll be helping people build their own base shop to the level of vice president, and they will be what's known as a first, a second, a third, or a fourth generation vice president from you. Now that I explained all of this, I'm going to start with my numbers. And the first thing I'm going to explain, I'm going to say, you know what? The average target premium, that is what is annualized and commissionable in our company, is $3,000 per case. But you know what? That's the average. And there are big cases that bring that up, small cases that bring it down, but probably what's more important to us is the median case. And the median case is about $2,000 in target premium. So I want to work on the conservative side. Now also, I'll explain that of that annualized target premium, we pay out 75%. Well, if we pay out 75% of that, that means that's only $1,500 of that target premium is going in the pockets of the individuals in the field, and the other $500 is as earned in month 10, 11, and 12. So let's be conservative again and only talk about the money that's going into your pocket right away. So we're going to use $1,500 there. And so I start putting the numbers in. I say, all right, now you can see we have $1,500 average target premium that you get paid on, and you're at the vice president level, and you said you could do 1 sale a week or 4 cases per month. Well, that would be giving you about $57,000 annually, and you said at the end of 6 months you could have 6 solid individuals on your team front line to you. Well, they would be just starting off. They're at the 30% level, and I'm going to be conservative. Instead of using 6, I'm going to say that of those 6, only 2 of them are really, really good, and they're not quite as good as you. They're doing 3 cases or 1 every 10 days instead of 1 every 7 days. Would you say that's being conservative? And they say, well, yeah. Okay, so I'm taking less than our target premium, and I'm only using the money you make up front, not including the money you'll get in months 10, 11, and 12. I'm using what you thought you could do, and I'm taking 1/3 of what you thought you could sponsor and having them only do 3/4 of what you said you could do. And as you can see from our calculator, your goal was to be on track to make $100,000 a year. We beat that. We're at $111,000, $111,600. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm showing them exactly what it's going to take for them to achieve their goal, and I'm using their figures, and in most cases I could probably be more conservative than they were. Now, at the end of 1 year, they said they wanted to be making $200,000. Okay, let's take a look at what they're going to need to do. They said that they could sponsor about 12 individuals by the end of 1 year that will be solid and working with them. Well, that would mean they have 2 individuals maybe at the representative level. 2 of them have grown to sales leader, 2 to district manager, 2 to division manager. I'm only going to use 8. They said they could have 12, so again, I'm being conservative by using 8, doing 1 sale every 10 days, still at the VP level at only what is annualized up front and at much less than our average. And notice we're now at $208,000. Their goal was to have $200,000 in annualized income, and I'm doing that with themselves and a total of 8 solid people that are working with them. I'm getting the point across that we need to, 2 things, that the goal is probably easier than they thought it was to reach that level, but I'm also showing them that we need solid business builders, not just someone who signs up for free, but somebody who wants to walk the walk, talk the talk, and go through what it takes to complete the Sprint Award, the Fast Start Award, and the Fast Track Award. Now, they said at the end of 3 years, they wanted to be making $400,000 a year. But you know what? Remember, we were making $208,000 with these people, and I now have it up to $212,000. What did I change? Well, actually, when they went over $200,000, they're no longer a VP. They're a national VP, and they increased their percentages, and that got us to the $212,000. But now, let's go ahead and go on to our 3-year point. In our 3-year point, I'm asking him, out of those 8 individuals who were really working with him, do you think 2 of those individuals, by the end of 3 years, could build a base shop just like you got? You see, your base shop is doing 28 sales in a month. Do you think you could find 2 of those individuals who build out a base shop doing 28 cases per month? They'll agree. And I'll say, out of those base shops, do you think they could find 1 individual who will build a base shop, which would be your 2nd generation VP, doing the same of 28 per month? And they say, well, yeah. Well, then there we go. We now have, not only from our own base shop, $212,000, but from the base shops that are on our 1st and 2nd generation, another $186,000. Hey, we have nearly that $400,000 that we were talking about, and we did it with 3 base shops below us and our own base shop doing about 28 cases per month. But you know what? When you pass that magic marker again, you got promoted to SNVP, and not changing either the number of people, the number of base shops, the number of cases, or the target premium. We just went from $398,000 to $446,000. We got a $50,000 a month raise or a year raise because we got promoted in the volume that we're doing. So now I've got my my new agent on track. They know what needs to be done in order to move forward. So it's time that we meet the spouse. Now, why do we want to meet the spouse? I mean, if the agent is wanting to do it and he says, hey, listen, my husband or my wife won't be involved with me, this will just be me. Well, let me tell you why you need to get the spouse on board. And that is because we all live our family lives before our business lives, and we must have that team mentality. You know what? The spouse may not be part of the business process. That's okay. But they are surely going to be part of the capability of our new agent to become part of the crusade. Do you think they can have a policy where they don't both agree that this is the best thing for them? Or you could be talking to their sphere of influence without both of them being in full agreement that this is the right thing to do? You see, it's our responsibility to educate the spouse as well as the trainee on the merits of the business. And so you want to go ahead, and that could be over the phone or in person. Just, explain who you are and what you're doing, what the crusade's all about, what your experience is. Get a warm feeling behind the name that the spouse is hearing about. So that's step 2 in the Sprint Award. Step number 3 is we need to get our new agent as a crusader and starting their own personal program. You got to complete a needs analysis with the sponsor or mentor. You will be doing that with your new agent. Protect yourself. You want to be able to protect, your new agent's family in that which is suitable for them. To be a crusader, they have to be a product of the product. And it's a necessary step for the fast track to vice president, which they have committed that they want to do with you. So let's take a look at a simple needs analysis form. I'd be sitting down with Mr. and Mrs. Client. You know what? In most cases, it is the woman of the household that knows, what their debts are and what they need to have taken care of should the, let's say, the breadwinner, and I'm just assuming that the husband is, in this case, could be the wife. It doesn't matter, but just for the sake of my example, we ask, what do you have in consumer debt, like car loans and credit card loans? And let's say they have, $50,000. And final expense, if Mr. were to pass away, what do we need to, give him a proper burial, etc.? And the average is about $15,000. And so Mrs. Client agrees with me and says, all right, $15,000. And I say, what kind of income are you relying on right now from Mr. Client? And let's say she says, well, that's about $50,000 a year. And how many years would you need to make sure you're back on your feet? Would that income have to be replaced? And let's say he says, well, that would be probably 5 years or 10 years. I have 5 years here at $50,000, which would be $250,000. And now I'll ask, well, if Mr. Client were to pass away, do you rent or have a mortgage? And they say, well, we have a mortgage. Would you like that paid for so that you don't have that to contend with? And she says yes. And so what's the balance? Let's say it's $275,000. And now, do you have any children? He says, yeah, we have 2 children. And would you like to have them educated? When would you like that taken care of? Yeah, well, you're looking at about $100,000 per child right now, so that's another $200,000. So in order to take care of immediate expenses, you're going to need about $790,000 worth of death benefit. Now, this is only one portion of what we're offering. We're going to talk about your retirement. We're going to talk about our living benefits, etc. But we got to start with this figure, and that is we have found $790,000. So now I'm going to ask, how much can you afford to put away per month to have for your retirement as well as for this the shortfall in cash flow should the Mr. pass away. This is probably when the husband's going to pipe up and say, well, we could put away about $150. Okay, fine, then we'll put $150 down there. And I say, by the way, do you have any life insurance right now? And they say, yeah, we got a small term policy. And I said, well, we're going to be replacing that policy because now not only will you have a death benefit, but you'll have living benefits should something happen, like a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, that happens to 70% of the American public prior to reaching age 65. So how much are you currently paying for that life insurance? And they say about $90 a month. Okay, fine. Well, we'll be able to take that and put it in here. Are you currently saving for retirement? And they say, well, yeah. I say, well, then how much per month are you putting away in an IRA or a 401k that is non-matched? The matched portion we want to keep with the 401k because obviously that's free money. And they come up and say, well, we're putting about $200 away. Okay, great. Now, at the end of the year, do you get a tax refund or do you owe money? And they say, oh, no, we always get a tax refund. So how much you get? I say, I don't know, it's $1,000, $1,200, somewhere in there. Okay. Well, do you realize that you are giving the government an extra $100 a month to get that $1,200 tax refund, and you're giving it to them interest-free? You're giving the government an interest-free loan. Do you know how easy it is to have that money for you as opposed to the government using it? And they go, well, how? Well, you just go to your human resources part, wherever you got how many dependents you have down. You add a couple of dependents on what they have on their form, and perfectly legal. That will bring, until it brings down what you owe at the end of the year to zero, not getting a $1,200 refund, but you're getting that extra $100 every month in your paycheck. And so that's what we're going to do to add to what we can be giving you as benefits rather than allowing the government have it as an interest-free benefit. And then, by the way, have you ever run a home-based business before? And they say, well, no, we don't run any kind of business. And I say, well, right now, your business with Freedom Equity Group is a home-based business. And as such, the tax codes will allow you to have a lot of benefits that you did not have in the past. Did you know that a portion of your home that's used as your office, that portion of the rent or the mortgage or the utilities can be written off? Did you know that using your car to travel to potential clients, even if they're good friends and neighbors, the mileage can be written off? Same as travel and entertainment expenses with those potential clients, even if they don't become a client. You realize you could hire your children to do some bookkeeping for you instead of giving them an allowance. That becomes a tax-deductible expense. You're going to have a lot of expenses that you have today will remain the same, but they will become tax-deductible. I'm going to recommend a book by Robert Mueller that will explain all that. And you could be saving an extra $150 per month easily by properly utilizing these legal deductions. And I might ask if they have qualified funds that are movable. We won't get into that on this lesson, but if we look here, when Mr. Klein said, well, we could put away $150 a month, well, I found $540. I found an extra $540. They could actually put away $690 a month. Now, I know at this point that I might get a little bit of pushback from Mr. Klein or Mrs. Klein. They might say, well, you know, we're not sure. We don't have those tax deductions in hand. You know, I could see where we move our IRA money over. I could see where we have our current life insurance we could be switched over. And by the way, you don't want to do anything with that current policy until your new policy is in effect. Issue paid. You don't want to have your client caught off guard without any kind of insurance protection. So wait till the new one is in place before you do anything with the old policy. So he might say, you know what, I'd feel more comfortable if we took that down a little bit. Well, to what? Say about 500. Okay, no problem there, because actually what I want to do with a little bit of that over 500 is I may need to supplement your indexed universal life policy. That's the one we're going to reuse as your retirement vehicle. we're going to look to get the least amount of insurance in that policy in order to give you the maximum amount of cash value at retirement. And then we'll supplement for these short-term possibilities that you have in case Mr. Client passes, such as the education of the children, etc., with a short-term stopgap measure, a term policy with living benefits that'll bring us up to that 790,000 or 800,000 that we are going to need. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to do my illustration. Now, whether I'm using Anico or LSW or whatever I'm using, I'm going to do an illustration, and although we are going to leave an illustration for them to read, etc., what I want to do is I want to take the figures off of that illustration and put them onto a summary sheet like you see here. Because when you start showing that illustration that's, you know, page after page after page, and each page has 30, 40, 50 sets of numbers on there, it's confusing, and a confused mind will always default to, I don't need to go here. So I'm going to take those numbers. So I went into my software, and let's say my client is a male, 40, and doesn't smoke, and he says he's in pretty good health, so we're going to assume we can get him preferred. And so let's get Mr. Client here up, and we know now that he said he wants to have a planned contribution of $500 a month. Well, I'm going to multiply that by 12, and I'm going to show him that that's going to be $6,000 annually we'll be putting away for their future. Now, he's age 40, and I'm going to recommend that he does this to age 70. The 70 is the new 65. Nobody's retiring at 65. Heck, walk into any fast food location or any Walmart, tell me how many people you see retired at age 65 or how many are still working there. You know, and by leaving it in that extra 5 years, you could almost double the amount of money that this individual is going to have. So they're going to have a lifetime contribution of about $180,000. Now, this is going to become very, very important when we go over the benefits. Now, remember, right at the beginning when I got my death benefit off of my illustration, it was $415,000. So I know I'm going to have to supplement this with a term policy for about $400,000 also. But right now I want to explain the benefits of the IUL. Now, the living benefits, I'm going to use age 65 here for what the living benefits would be. Should that individual have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, by the way, I'm going to use age 65 for the terminal illness, but I'm going to use age 45 for the critical and chronic illness. So they're taking out the policy at 40. What if they have a life-changing medical event at age 45? That's a heart attack, stroke, cancer, or many other diseases, which they survived. But now they're having trouble. They got to meet the mortgage payments. They were off of work for a while. How are they going to, handle the ensuing financial crisis that came with that life-altering medical event? Well, at age 45, a moderate heart attack, stroke, or cancer is going to pay out about $215,000 would be offered. And should they have a critical or a chronic illness that requires in-home or nursing home care, we got about $7,000 plus per month for over 4 years as one of the benefits, living benefits of this policy. And at age 65, should they have a terminal illness, the policy would pay out $382,000. I got all of this off of the illustration. Now I want to look at, that's if we have a problem. What if we don't have a problem, and as my client said, hey, they've got good genes, they plan on living for a while? Well, we're going to be able to take out, starting at age 70, $78,000 a year in this policy, and that's going to be income tax-free. Had they stuck with their IRA or 401k or any other type of financial planning, how much would they have to take out before taxes in order to have $78,000 after taxes? Well, they'd have to take out in the state of California about $110,000, which means that they said they had good genes. Let's say they lived to be age 85. By age 85, they will have taken out $1.1 million. And at age 85, they'll still have a death benefit in the policy of $178,000. Now here's what you want to really make sure you point out to these individuals, that before you came by, they weren't prepared for illness or death or retirement. Now, because of what you found for them, they thought they only had $150 put away. Because of what you found for them, they are protected immediately to the tune of $415,000. Should they have a qualifying illness on the way to retirement, nearly $250,000 to take care of those financial problems. If it's chronic and they need ongoing care, well, $7,000 a month for over 4 years. And should terminal illness strike, instead of waiting for death, but in order to live out those final years in the dignity that they should be able to, $382,000 is available for them. And that's only if the bad things happen. If the good things happen, then they've got the equivalent of $110,000 per year coming out income tax-free, no matter how long they live, taking out probably $1.1 million by age 85. And at age 85, they still have enough benefit in the policy of everything that they contributed, even after all of these benefits and $1.1 million taking out. So is there any reason we wouldn't want to go ahead and get this, see if we qualify for this policy right away? And they say yes, which means we have just fulfilled step number 3 in the Sprint Award. Now let's go on and get the inventory for your business. You know, every business needs inventory, and this is step 4 in the Sprint Award. A grocery store needs groceries, a shoe store needs shoes. Your business, it needs prospects. Here's the important thing. Your inventory is free, and it's easy to get. A prospect list is a list of people who may or may not join our crusade. It is also people who may or may not buy from you, may or may not need our product. And here's one of the #1 holdups when it comes to getting the prospect list that you're going to get. And that holdup is, I don't want to talk to my friends, neighbors, and relatives. I don't want them to think that that I'm making money off of them. And so I go through a little bit of an exercise right here that will help you get over that. And although I know it's there, whether they say it or not, I'm still going to do this exercise. And it's the 10-circle list. I'm going to give them a list, a blank piece of paper with these circles on it, like this, and I'm going to tell them, hey, listen, what I need you to do is put the names of the 10 people who are nearest and dearest to you and your family in each of these 10 circles on the outer edge here. Now, don't try to prejudge and figure out what this exercise is all about. Just, you know, if your parents or siblings are alive, they should be there. If people that are very close to you should be there, just make that list. And we'll have them fill out the names of the 10 closest people. Don't try to think of what the exercise is for. And now I'm going to take that list and I'm going to put a big red X through 7 of them randomly. And then I'm going to explain how 7 out of 10 people will have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer before age 65. It has nothing to do with them. It's just the law of averages. And the law is the law. It's not a theory. 7 out of 10 will have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer before age 65. And now I'm going to ask them if I pick the right 7. And they're probably going to look at me like, are you nuts? How do I know if you pick the right 7 of my list that's going to have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer? And I'm going to say, you know what? You're right. There's no way I could know. So I'm going to give it to them, and I'm going to tell them to pick the right 7. They're still going to have that puzzled look. Well, how would I know? And you know what? That's the point. It's impossible to pick, just as it's impossible to pick who would be right for this business or this product. We got to let them decide. I'm looking for 100 names and numbers. And we don't want it accomplished by the new recruit alone. What do I mean by that? I mean that I'd like to have the spouse involved in this. Let me ask you a question. You're starting a business. It's a grocery store. You need inventory. And I pull up a truck outside, and it's full of fresh produce and baked goods. And I say to you, here's the inventory for your business. It's free. You could unload whatever you want into your store. How much of it would you unload? Would you unload a third of the tractor trailer? How about half? Would you unload half of it? Come on, we all know what you'd do. You'd unload the whole thing. The inventory is free. 100 names and numbers, 25 minimum to start with. But then again, let me ask you another question. If I brought up 2 tractor trailers full of goods, one with fresh produce and baked goods and the other with stale bread and rotten tomatoes, which one of the 2 trucks would you unload? Obviously, the one with the fresh produce and the baked goods. Why? Because that's a better inventory. If you just give your new agent a list and say, go home and make a list of 100 names or whatever, they might just, dump the yellow pages or the white pages into that list. It's not going to be any good. These are people they're going to want to contact about, and so they should be doing this with the spouse. Now, here's what I say regarding that 10-circle list, because I know they don't want to talk to those people right away, and I say, let me ask you the question. Whether you talk to them or not, 7 out of them, maybe 6 for you, maybe 8 for you, but 7 out of them are going to have a life-changing medical event, and you can't do anything about it. But you can do something about the ensuing financial crisis that is going to come about as a result of that. So here is my question. When that does happen, and it's going to happen, and let's assume you never talk to them about this product that you have available for them, but you got it yourself, are you going to be able to go see them in the hospital and say, or when they tell you that they're losing their home, and be able to say, I could have prevented this if I just let you in on a little secret that me and my wife had to prepare ourselves for this type of event, but sorry I didn't tell you about my little secret. I'm a secret agent. Will you really have the guts to go and tell them that you had the solution but kept it from them, didn't allow them to make that decision themselves? It is so important. When people say they don't want to talk to friends, neighbors, and relatives, it's a belief question, and that's something we need to get through right away. The spouse should be involved in making this list, and cheating, by the way, is allowed. You see, you can use cell phones, Facebook page, Christmas card list, etc., and you want to identify the first 3 to 5 that'll help them to qualify for the Sprint Award. That's where we're going to do one of these shortened presentations. Step 5 in the Sprint Award is the licensing process. Hey, no license means no business now or later. Really, what's the purpose of continuing to try to train someone who has not started the most easy and vital of processes? Are they just sticking their toes in the water to see what will happen if they try a little? Do they want to try before they buy? Well, here's a point. Is this the type of commitment you want to spend your time and talents on? Will you let yourself be the guinea pig? Will you cheapen yourself for this test? And then finally, 3 to 5 short presentations. This could be live. It could be over the internet, and the 7 magic words. Are you in front of your computer, calling up the best prospects they have there, and go over, even a shortened presentation? It's an invitation for more information. You want to get your idea and your concepts in front of those new people right away. That's the hardest thing for your new agent to do, is to pick up the phone and call somebody. So be there with them to do those first 3 to 5 short presentations, and explain to them how they get paid to prospect. You see, you do. You really get paid on every prospect, whether they join or not. How is that possible? Well, you find your average, and you measure your average in activity in dollars. In other words, let's say 1 out of 10 prospects joins and creates a $2,000 commission. Well, if 1 out of 10 join and create a $2,000 commission, you couldn't get to the 1 without going through the other 9, which means each prospect is worth $200 to you and your new agent. So you can predict, and insurance companies use that law of averages. They call it the actuarial tables. They bet their very existence on it because it works. Once you know what a prospect is worth, you can predict exactly what it'll take to earn $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month on your efforts. Your organization will expand from using the system. Okay, we finished the Sprint Award. Now it's on to the Fast Start Award. You create the brick, the building block of your organization. 3 people who will complete the 6th task of the Sprint Award means you complete the Fast Start Award. You now have 3 new sales under your belt. You have completed your licensing course. And then finally, you want to complete the Fast Track to Vice President, which is just 2 more individuals signed up who complete the Sprint Award. All of these requirements done within 60 days, issue paid in 90 days, and with a total of $1,500 target premium of those 5 sales, and you have completed the Fast Track to Vice President. So in summary, folks, this system is exactly what is working. If you're taking a look at the leaderboard on the Tuesday calls every Tuesday, those top 10 income earners, those top 10 recruiters, those top 10 team builders, guess what? They're all coming from utilizing the system that works. There are 2 ways to learn any business. One is to learn from experience, and the other is to learn from those who have learned from experience. Would you buy a McDonald's franchise and say, oh, we don't need French fries, we'll do onion rings instead, and let's get rid of the Big Mac and put in the big hot dog? I mean, would you really do that? Would you invest that kind of money for that kind of potential return and then figure you know better? Remember how we started this conversation? What would you do if you knew exactly what you needed to do in order to win? I think I'd do something else. No, you would do those tasks that you know would work in order to help you win. That's where you need to take the system and create your financial empire. The system works. You run the system, and the system will run your business. We're going to take some questions here. Feel free to put your questions down there in the lower right-hand side, and I'll be back in a moment. I want to thank everyone listening in. We look forward to working with you. Don't forget all of the trainings all week long, live over the internet. Don't forget upcoming corporate events and red carpets. And we look forward to working with you. Thanks for joining us, and I'll be right back with questions.